The mic on? Yes, we are live. The mic is on. The mic is on. The mic is on. And look, ladies and gentlemen, the truth is I'm trying to maximize my streaming capabilities. And I'm going to bring this right in front here. It's like a one place to look at. Look at that. You see that right there? Oh, it's a little crazy, so hang in there. That's real life, ladies and gentlemen. My God. All right. Move this camera right over there. Oh, this could be just amazing, or it could be a bit of a mess. Are you hanging in there? Are you staying with me? We're talking about one of the best things out there. There, that looks good. That looks good. I'm looking at everybody. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the fast technique. And what is the fast technique? It has to do with stress, has to do with the nerves, the brain, the spinal cord, and how your body works. And it has to do how your body wires those things together. So what you're feeling now has a connection to something way, way, way long ago. So let's recap that and let's start from the beginning because it's been a little haywire to get things started tonight. And we're 4 minutes in. So if you know what we're talking about with the nervous system, we're talking about stress. Give it a like, give a thumbs up. You want more of this content, you want more of this information, ask the question. I have both chats up. I want to talk about what is going on with stress. I want to talk about what's going on with what your pain and problems are. That is how we solve things, by talking it out. So let's do a little hashtag stress conversation. Now, how many of you out there have had an injury? How many of you out there have had a situation where you feel that fight or flight, you feel that heart pounding, the skin sweating, you feel the nerves, the butterflies, whatever that sense. And what I'm doing here is I'm wanting to call in different descriptions of what stress feels like in the body. Amen. We get yeses. People say yes. I've got stress. We've had stress. We've had injuries. Now there's a response by the body following an injury. There's a response by the body that goes into getting it right, getting it balanced, getting it healed, getting it functioning well. So we have an injury, we have a response. However, in that response to the injury, there is this imprint at the emotional and the brain level. Now, so if I let's pause. Let's take a look at the brain and the nervous system. Now, I don't have slides prepared. I'm shooting from the hip because it's just easier. And you can look up all these images. Look up the brain, look up the spinal cord, look up the central nervous system. You're going to get images of, if I took a saw and cut that off and pop that out, and you'd see the soft tissue. You could poke it, it would be heavy-ish, couple pounds, 5 to 10 pounds, depending on the size of the human, maybe a little bit bigger if you're a really big guy or gal. And that's getting away from the point, but let's bring it back. The brain and the nervous system has these networks of communication systems that are constantly recording what's going on around you. From the sights, the smells, the taste, the pain, the pleasure, everything associated with it. And the moment that there is a heightened event, there's an imprint in the subconscious, the conscious. There's an imprint in the nervous system. The brain wires things together. We had to look at the concept of the hunter-gatherer for a minute. We want to remember where water sources are. We want to remember where food sources are. We want to remember where safety is located. We want to remember where our home is when we're wandering around in the woods and we're looking at the sun, the moon, and the stars to navigate. We also want to remember where the danger is, what mushrooms are hurt or poisonous, what animals are dangerous or are hunting us, what tribes, what relationships are good or not good. These are all mechanisms to keep you alive, to keep the body, the mind, the system functioning well. And in times of increased stress, the body does things to counteract that. And in the short term, that's okay. In fact, it's very healthy. But in the long term, that's detrimental. It detracts from your life. turns on all these funky things that we associate with diseases and diagnoses that one typically gets at a hospital or a medical doctor's office. And regardless of where you get a diagnosis, I'm not trying to point at anybody, but the point is, you go to the medical association's websites and different things, you look at the top 10 killers of the world, of mainstream United States of America, and you're going to see 9 times out of 10 preventable illness, preventable disease, lifestyle-based issues. And most of these have numerous psychological states of thinking and mindset, beliefs, paradigms of life, perceptions, expectations, all these things that define what the mind does, and it's housed in the brain and the synapses of the brain. The synapses are these little wires that form based on our experiences and how the emotional imprint takes place. So that's the main concept, right? So let's step back. We have the external event, we have an internal response, and if it's a heightened emotional response, we get an imprint in the nervous system. And the body, the brain, the mind, all of it wires together. The hormone system, everything wires together in that moment to inform us of danger or safety, or pain or pleasure. The two spectrums, the two ends of the spectrum. So what does that matter for right now, here in life today? Well, what it matters is there's certain things that we get triggered by. There's pains, there's pressures from emotional situations, life situations, internal thinking patterns in response to a life event going on. And so this is how we detect in our own self if there's a stressor, and we feel it. We know what stress feels like. We know what pressure feels like. We know what compression is like. And now we know that there's causes to those things. So we have the feelings and the emotions in response to life, and we have what we like and what we don't like about it. Okay, and if we do like about it, if there's joy, there's pleasure, there's fun, there's laughter, well, we want more of that. However, when there's detriment, when there's fear, when there's incapability, when we're lethargic or stuck, whatever that is, well, there's a reason for it. It's not just happenstance. The body's calling out to you by the nature of your symptoms and your attitudes and your beliefs that aren't the ones you want. And it's expressing to you. So, pause. Let's talk about where we started and where we're going, okay? We started with the concept of, you saw the title, you saw something that said the FAST technique, first aid stress tool, okay? And then if you caught the beginning, or if you caught the middle, we're talking about the nature of how the brain, the nervous system connects the whole body together, and how a trigger, a stress response, is in relationship to our environment. Okay, now how do these things form in the first place? Let's talk about that for a minute before we move forward for the future. And then we're going to get into questions. Questions just popped up. We'll answer that in a second, so stay tuned. Okay, so the things that we're stressing about now are originated somewhere else in our past. Now, these are emotions that are hardwired in because of a triggering event, a heightened emotional event that imprinted our nervous system. And now, sometimes in today or in the current life, we are facing something similar that's reminding our body of the original event. And I think this is actually going to answer the question. So let me read the question and we'll come back to the point, okay? Why, when we are crying and hurt, emotion from the head feels like getting bomb fire, red face from crying? Okay, well, the simple statement is this: where all the energy is having up and downness, perturbance, interference, stress, okay, wherever that energy is contained, it expresses in the body. So when we're crying and hurt, emotion from the head feels like it's getting a bonfire. Okay, so we're all the pressures in our mind from thinking. Where we do our thinking in the brain, the physical brain itself, the thinking is occurring in what's called the frontal lobe. If I took this top of my skull off and you could look in the brain, or if you typed in Google brain regions or brain zones, or you'll see one that's called frontal. And that's where a lot of our thinking and contemplation, executive function is taking place. See, let's talk about where, the nature of the structure of the brain for a minute. Okay? Well, there's three main brains. We have our reptilian brain, and around that we have our mammalian brain, and around that we have our neocortex. And when these three brain zones or phases or stages of the brain, they're in charge of different major functions. Reptilian is much of the automatic fight, flight, fornicate, or faint. There is the mammalian brain, is all kinds of like emotions and love and care, and think of mammals, think of animals. Yet there's lack of certain kinds of thinking states or conscious states, as we were led to believe. Now, neocortex, the most advanced component of our brain, or the most recent component of the brain, based on what we've been told, is the place where we do a lot of our thinking, executive function, reasoning, things like that. So let me turn you on to another concept about the concept of the brain itself. Think of a triangle. Think of an iceberg. 10% of our brain is used for our conscious thinking. For example, I notice I'm thirsty. I'm going to go grab my jug of water here, open it, and drink it. That was a decision because I noticed something was happening in my body, and I wanted to take action to resolve that problem. So I wanted to drink water. So the other 90% is below the surface, or subconscious, and that's operating everything else. The reason why I got thirsty, it's operating my heart, my lungs, my liver, spleen, kidney, bladder, bowel, male or female organs, muscles, ligaments, lymph. All those things are happening automatically. And of course, the subconscious mind, the past memories, the things we've forgotten, the hypnotist can find them. So the idea of 10% and 90% of the brain, the iceberg analogy of the triangle, and if you remember the old days of, we only use 10% of our brain. Well, that's not true. What's really true is 10% is conscious focus, and the rest is subconscious. And the amount of information the subconscious is working through is like 400 times the ability, or maybe it's like 4 million times the ability. I forget the exact number, but it's a significant amount difference of the things the subconscious, the 90% is doing versus what the 10% is doing. All right, so I think I have an image for you to show you kind of that thing. Well, there's an image I love to share about as above, so below. Our nervous system is kind of, if our brain is in the trunk, our nerves go out like the rest of the tree. And this is what I showed here. Actually, this is a great image of the nervous system. We see at the top here, the brain contained in inside the skull. And then it has this wiring, comes right down the middle of the spine, and then it branches out from the middle down into all the body parts, the arms and the legs, all the muscles. But in the chest cavity and the abdominal cavity, all the organs and the heart, literally everything you can think of is connected to that. Let me make sure I don't hit the wrong button. Anyway. So we're talking about the FAST technique. So let's actually get to the FAST technique. We'll talk about how it's working and why it's working. And simply, we want to be using right here, the frontal lobe is where we'll be contacting to connect all the circuits of the body. Think of the nervous system has an internal component and an external component. Now let me see if I have a nice view of, I don't have it readily available, so excuse me. And if you're on Facebook world, YouTube world, you're not seeing this, go to Instagram, look my name up, you'll see this live in these images. It's just the way it goes. The tech was too complicated for me tonight. Trying something new, that's what we like to do, to expand our horizons. So with that being said, here we are fast technique, first aid stress tool. This is a natural, holistic, um, so much research, so much evidence in what's called functional MRI, real time MRI. We're seeing the brain rewire itself, essentially not responding to the stress that was first evoked that showed the stress response on the functional MRI. Meaning when, so let's say if you're triggered by spiders and someone showed you a spider or a picture of a spider and they measuring your brain waves and boom, there's the explosion of the stress response in the brain. And then we do the methodology, the fast technique, and then boom, we put the spider back in front of your face or the image of that, and the stress response does not show up in the brain in less than 2 minutes post-care. Now, where can you see this information? I'm going to type it in the comments. netmindbody.com. And let's see if I can pull that up on Instagram here. And I'll see if I can type it in a live here, but I'll type on the chat right there. I'm trying to do a couple things. It'll still work. I have faith. You'll get the information you need. There, let's go to my page. Right there. Can I comment on this? I can comment on that. All right. So HTTPS. You know the drill. netmindbody.com. Let's see if it goes in there. It went in here. Does it show up on the feed there? We will see in a second. I'll type it in the comment here in a moment. However, it's netmindbody, mindbody.com. And you'll get to see there's some images of the brain. You'll see like a target kind of image with a bright yellow and red spot. And if you click on that, there's videos. One's longer than the other, and you get to see real depth detail. And then there's another website, and that one, where's where all the research is stored, and that's onefoundation.org. And let's see. Oops. And take that off, and that'll get you people there. And this is where you can hear the doctors who have done the research, and there's even a documentary called Stressed. You gotta watch that. So let's get down to it, the fast technique. All right. So we started with talking about the neurology. We see some images and pictures of how the nervous system flows. What I was looking for was an image of the meridians, the acupuncture meridians from traditional Chinese medicine. They look like circuits, and they're on the surface of the body. And every finger is the end of one circuit, and there's even more depth and detail than that, but we're not going into it. But the circuits go on the top of the arm and the back of the arm and the front of the body and the back of the body, around the face and around the head. They integrate everything, and there's 12 main ones, and then there's the central. Okay, and I want you to think about what computer circuits look like, and think of your fingertips, and think of these points along the thumb side of your wrist as access points. We have entry into that meridian system, and that meridian system integrates with the central nervous system. And when we have a stress feeling, the fight or flight, the crying, the hurt emotion, the bomb fire, red face crying feeling, what we want to do is put one hand on the forehead, and the other hand, I'm going to reach this way. Hopefully I can get everyone's view. We're going to reach behind and over top and touch the points on the wrist, just like that. Gracias. Now, once we are feeling, just like where you would feel your pulse. Okay, you want to put your fingers on your own pulse, right there. Okay, you're feeling it, and you put it right here on your head. All right, now the key at that point is to go to the feeling of the pain, go to the feeling of the red, go to the feeling of that bomb, go to the feeling in the heart, wherever you're feeling the energy going crazy. It could be your stomach, it could be your leg, maybe you banged your foot, whatever, I don't care. What I do care about is that you put one hand here and you reach over top and you put your other hand on all the fingertips, right on the wrist pulse points. So give it a try right now. Unless you're driving, don't do that. Okay. Now, of course, what I want you to learn to do, you'll do it one way, and then you're going to switch, of course, and learn to do it the other way. Okay. Now, this is called the fast technique. This is the official fast technique. Now, on the PDF, and see if I can, I'm going to be shaking the cameras too much. Reach out in the comments. I'll comment after the live video is over and drop some links in. And of course, you go to our websites and their resources. Now, where are we? Okay. Thanks for staying tuned. Now, one of the things you could probably get this from a lot of people that tune into this type of stuff, but it's the body fast. Okay, the body fast. We have the hand fast, the mind fast. There's different names I'm calling it. It's not official. We have the mind fast, the body fast. The body fast is, let's say you bang your foot, or let's say you got like an emotional pain because of a heartbreak and it hurts in your chest. Literally touch it and put one hand on your forehead and you go into the feeling of the problem and you go into the sensation of the problem and you breathe deeply in and out, forgetting the story. There's going to be words, people, memories. All that's going to start flooding up, and that's okay. Notice it, observe it. But we want to get into the feeling of it, all right? Now, what we talk about, it's called first stage stress tool. This is the fast technique. We're talking about the nervous system, the neurology of how emotions get wired into our body and how they cause that stress response, how they cause that trigger. And if you're feeling pressure today, if you're feeling compression of life, if you're feeling like you're stuck, you're feeling lethargic, you're feeling upset, you're getting wilding out with crying, people are losing it in the drama. Well, there's reasons for that, and the energy is the energy, the course is the course, but be mindful. You got to get connected to some of the other live streams and learn about how the cosmic energy is affecting our emotional energy, but a different story, different day. However, we're talking about the fast technique, the nervous system, the central nervous system, the meridians, the acupuncture system, how they all work together, and when you hook it up, it's called hooking it up. Fast technique, hook it up, and it de-stresses the body. The breath going in and out to the feeling helps the nervous system process the stress. It literally rewires the brain. The synapses are rewiring. Decoupling things we don't want, coupling things we do want. And what's the result? You feel better. What's the result for when we do the deep dive laser 101 component, the full 15-step process of the fast tech? The fast technique's the short version, the at-home version. The big process, the one I do in the clinic, 101, it changes lives, changes organ function, changes spines, it changes stress out the yin yang, it changes balance. One of the things that happens to me and why I got into this in the first place, if I take a pause on the lesson, so to speak, is because of significant number of concussions. Look, before age of 14, before I was really getting heavy into football or rugby, I had 5 major concussions following. I'm not going to get into the stories. That's just not the time for that. However, we've all been through traumas. People are going through struggles we don't even know about. Everyone has a story that they're carrying. Physical, mental, emotional, chemical, or otherwise. Spiritual. Oh my God, all kinds of wild things out there. The point is, can you honor other people's journeys as you're working on your own? Today's a day of reflection. Boy, I'm pausing about a lot of concepts, but the point is stress. Okay, stress, and we want to be able to process stress, and we feel stress when we observe other people doing things, and that's a great indicator. And then we feel stress as we're trying to accomplish things, and those are where our sticking points are. And the most simplest thing that you can do is learn to put your hand in the right place, your fingers of the opposite hand in the right place on the thinking, the mind fast technique. But when we're doing a physical pain that's showing up in our body, we do the body fast technique. And there's no PDF for that. That's just something I've been playing with. It's a version of the technique, and I'm just making it happen in my own self because of my daughter so young. I wanted to find a solution for her. It didn't involve a lot of complicated steps, even though the 15 steps is very easy, and even though the 2-minute process is easy, even though the fast technique, the traditional fast technique, is very easy. My daughter being so young, I needed something even easier. So I just told her, put the hand where the boo-boo is, put the other hand where the brain is. And we start breathing, and the pain goes away. The pain goes away. The emotional upset goes away. She has a cavity, and certain emotions really triggered the pain in her tooth, and I got really good at finding it with her own finger and putting her hand on the forehead, and the tooth pain went away. Now, we got to work on why that stress is there in the first place. That's nutritional, that's chemical, that's emotional, and it's structural. It's all the above. And we all have these things. The point is stress. All stress ends up in the mind. All stress ends up in the brain. If we get into the origin of all kinds of like life principles, the first law, one of the first principles in the Bible, one of the first law in Hermetic principles, the first law of spiritual law, the first law and all these kind of things is the following. Are you ready? Mind is all and all is mind. The principle of mentalism. And the mental does not necessarily stop or end just with the conversation of the brain. It encompasses the conversation of the brain, but it's not limited to the brain. Your body's part of the mind. Your biofield, the energy fields around you, are part of the mind. It's your definition of the mind that will benefit from expansion. It's your definition of learning how to be aware of the mind and understand how the mind expresses itself through our physical body. That's where you can get information on my website called drkeving.com/shop. The book there is called Decode Your Pain. This is where you start to learn the secret language of the body. It's always talking to you. Life is always talking to you. The book provides you the basic structures and principles that relate that story. However, tools, techniques, programs, products, my own, others I've assimilated because they all align with getting you better, getting you living your best life, getting you optimized, handling stress in a new way. I mentioned dripped in a breadcrumb. If you go to my feed on Instagram, you'll see Get Yourself Right Wednesday night. You'll see this image. Let's see if I can show you. You see this image, and it's deeper conversations, and I did one yesterday about this exact topic, and it has to do with Pluto. Now, Pluto, one of the farthest cosmic bodies that affect the Earth, that affect our mind, is associated with the Declaration of Independence, is going through a phase where it was retrograde, meaning it was appearing in reverse motion in the sky for the last 6 months. It's coming to a station position, meaning it's not moving. That's associated with this full moon coming up. And there's other things that are happening, that are aligning, that are making this moon situation unique and very profound. Though as we move forward, the next 6 months, Pluto stays the stationary pattern and then moves into a forward moving pattern. That's 6 months from now, March 23rd to be exact, 2023. It will be these are life-changing times. These are the times that try men's souls the most. I'm quoting, and I want to give credit to the Leo King, David Palmer, and Sirius Joy, Christopher Witecki, and all their teams of helping me understand external energies, how they affect our internal energies. And in that dance, stress. And however, why am I talking about Pluto and this timeline? Because the stars are for signs and for seasons. It's like a clock, a cosmic clock. The point being here is we're getting a wake-up call of the stuff that stinks in our life and the stuff that has been hidden and we haven't addressed, and it's pressuring. And so if you're feeling that pressure, the only way through is action. And a lot of it has to do with daily stuff, like you're organizing your room, organizing a relationship, making things right. And of course, there's nuance depending on who you are and where you are and when you were born, your imprint, your experiences, your expectations, all these factors. But with your birth date and your birth time, I can help you see a lot of things and help you solve a lot of things with the tools and techniques and products and affiliates that I've aligned. Well, this is something I have is called the Vision Living Program, and these are things. So I give you lots of action steps, but the most important action step is know yourself. The second most action step is the fast technique, de-stress. Third most important action step is go to drkeving.com/shop, access a program, a service, a product that will get your body, get your mind to the next degree right. And then you take that next step, the next degree right, and you get consistent, you get good at it, you keep going forward. If you need help, that's why I'm here. It's my job, it's my business. And if you got it covered, amen. Spread the love. Blessings, best regards. I'm Dr. Kevin. I will see you next time. Hopefully get my tech better. That's the nature of the game. Blessings and best regards. I'm Dr. Kevin. Take action because you deserve it. Peace.